So obviously I got very distracted with that work yesterday, with the video yesterday about September 11th, so I'm going to pick it up today. So my mom's family was hiding people in her house who she didn't know. She wasn't allowed to know their names. She went to a very separate school from all of her friends. All of a sudden it was just very, it was a time when she was torn away from everything to which she was accustomed and thrown into something new. So there's that. Then she became very involved in the student movements against the dictatorship and pro-socialism. Then in college she couldn't continue her studies. She had to discontinue her studies. Due to the dictatorship, and she later picked them up after having kids, and that's how she came to know Carlos, my older brother, who is not actually part of the family. So Carlos is from an island down in the south and off the coast of Chile, and he lived down there and then came up to Valparaiso to go to school. And he ended up going to school with Claudia, my mom, and then they were classmates. They got to know each other pretty well, and then when Claudia was having a student come last semester and her son was no longer here, Carlos came in and helped out and took care of the student, and that's how Carlos came to live here, because he helped out with the last student, and he and Claudia got really close, and then Claudia said, well, we have an extra room, why don't you just stay here, which Carlos loves, because he, unlike probably any other teenager you'll talk to, he wanted to live with a mom so badly, wanted to go shopping and do the chores with the mom and help with dinner and get the mama love, and he totally does. He goes to the market with her every Saturday. He does probably the most chores in the house, and he definitely gets all the mama love. So he seems to love it here. Let's see what else. So we were talking about that. Then I got to talk with my dad a little bit about his part. He also was very involved in the movements the revolutionary groups against the dictator. Neither of them have relatives who are members of who disappeared under the dictatorship, but both of them know people who do, and I think pretty much every person in Chile can be connected to someone who disappeared under the dictatorship. It was a really rough time, and the movies and documentaries that we've been watching about it have been really very heavy. Is the word we keep using. It's just how do you move forward from this? So some people have compared it to the Holocaust, some people have compared it to the Civil War, but it's sort of, it was sudden, and it happened in a flash, and it happened with all these outside influences. It didn't, both of those were very internal, whereas this happened with the influence of the US, of outside powerful forces who were wealthy and just wanted to maintain their power and their status. It's very hard. So I brought home some ISPs from previous years, some of which are about the disappeared or the dictatorship or things like that, and how to move forward. I'm just very interested to see what people have to say, what people found from people of Chile. So there's that. What else? We don't know who's here. We talked a bit about what is done now to commemorate, and my mom said she likes to talk with the boys about it because this was interesting. So right here we're at this sort of level, this democracy. I mean, in sort of in their train of thought, Chile is in this democracy with like some corruption somewhere down here, but a democratically elected president. The previous president, Michelle Batista, was, I mean, high approval ratings. Okay, so her sons are saying, we don't have enough freedoms here. We don't have enough like personal liberties. They're both sort of anarchists, which is really cool. They're hilarious. So they want to be, up here in their minds. They want this world that's up here and it's utopian. But Claudia, my mom, likes to take this moment to help the boys remember that there was a time very recently when society was down here, when people had no liberties, when people had no freedoms, when you couldn't say or do or think what you actually wanted because you were always looking behind your back to see if someone from the government or some part of the armed forces was coming to take you or one of your family members away because of these beliefs. It was really interesting. Obviously. No, it was very, very interesting. I don't know, it's incredible that she doesn't know someone who is part of the Desaparecidos because she was very, very involved in the movement. A lot of family members were exiled, and she knows a lot of people who were exiled, so that's a big deal. But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, it's so then I asked, and she said it doesn't really seem to affect people today very much. People seem to be very like, okay, it happened, it's done, whatever. So it's just, I don't know, I have yet to wrap my head around it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up that book, and watch some more documentaries, and write a Chilean paper, or a paper in Spanish, in Chilean, about identity. That's all I got. I'm allowed to make a comparison, I'm allowed to just talk about it, I'm allowed to not make any comparisons, so we'll see where I go with this. Hope you enjoyed this rambling video about the 11th. I'm sure I have more to talk about, but it's just slipped out of my head, so I'll talk with you guys soon. Lots of love.